The DJI Mavic Pro is expected to be announced very soon, and thanks to a source in China, we now have a full set of leaked specifications pointing to a rather big update over the Mavic 3 Pro. But before we get to the details, I have a simple request. Please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps this channel grow, and keeps you up to date on the latest camera coverage. Early rumors had indicated that the DJI Mavic 4 Pro would be coming out sometime in spring. But lately we've been getting some contradicting information indicating that the DJI Mavic 4 Pro could actually come very soon, and January at the very latest. And the reason for that is, well, to beat a potential ban on the DJI drones by the United States. But it looks like DJI already has their FCC ID. Jasper Ellens tweeted a leaked photo of the Mavic 4 Pro with stickers all over, including this FCC sticker at the bottom. And a previous leak showed the FCC ID 553 Larry 3 Alpha Beta 2410. Now, one thing to keep in mind, no matter how accurate leak specifications are, until we get the official announcement by DJI, anything can change from the price, the date, specifications, right up until the very last minute. But that being said, let's turn our attention to the latest leaked specifications, detailed leaked specifications that we have on the DJI Mavic 4 Pro. We have 17 specifications and a photo. Let's go ahead and start off with the image. It's not the best, it's a little bit grainy, but it does show something rather significant at the front of the camera. But take a closer look at the drone. It's got a new, larger mount, allowing it to stand up to more abuse, including higher sustained wind speeds. The DJI Mavic 4 Pro gets a micro four thirds sensor. Not a lot of surprises there. And the lens, well, it's a 28mm with an aperture range of between f2 and f11. Now the rotating gimbal, we've got some nice improvements here. It can rotate all the way down 90 degrees and all the way up 80 degrees. And in terms of battery capacity, well, we've got some improvements there. The predecessor could do 5,000 milliamperes, and this unit here can do 6,654 milliamperes or 95.3 watt hours. That translates into 51 minutes of flight time, and it gets a 240 watt charger. I wouldn't be surprised if most people are skipping ahead to this part of the video to find out what the latest video specifications are, and they're looking pretty impressive. If you've thought of buying a camera like the Nikon Z8, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Sony A7 R5, well, you're going to find these video specifications to be very impressive and delivering capabilities that we're not seeing in any of those cameras. So the resolution, it can deliver 6K up to 60 frames per second. That's all the basic frame rates of 24, 25, and 30, as well as 50 and 60 frames per second, giving you slow motion. Now, in terms of 4K, we're able to go past that and deliver up to 100 or 120 frames per second. You have log profiles, D-log, and you get 14 stops of dynamic range. That's right, 14 stops of dynamic range. Now, I want to put a big sort of caveat there, because what we've seen with every camera, and I'm going to pick on the R5 Mark II because I own that, the R5 Mark II is sold as having 16 stops of dynamic range when shooting with Canon Log 2, 4K fine with their new sensor. And that's what they advertise. But industry tests, what they show is it can deliver more like 13.5 stops of dynamic range. Now that doesn't make it any less impressive, anything less of a camera. It's pretty impressive getting those 13.5 stops of dynamic range, or 16 stops as per Canon. Shooting with a camera, I'm absolutely impressed. So when DJI says, based on these leaked specifications, that it can deliver 14 stops of dynamic range, it's probably going to be more like 12 or 12.5 stops, but you're still going to notice a noticeable improvement, along with dual base ISO at 400 and 1200 ISO. And that's not the only update we're getting in this camera. Unlike those other cameras I talked about, including the R5 Mark II, which don't have electronic internal ND filters, well, the DJI Mavic 4 Pro does have electronic ND filters, delivering between 2 and 6 stops. We now get RTK with the DJI Mavic 4 Pro, and that's a significant upgrade to many. If you're wondering why that's such a big deal, Well, what RTK now provides is precise positioning and stabilization. So for those people that need to know exactly where they are down to the inch on the geospatial grid, well, DJI says, you're welcome. All right, now in terms of flight altitude, the flight altitude for the DJI Mavic 4 Pro is 1,200 meters, or about 1.2 kilometers, and I'd say that's about 80% of a mile. Flight-assisted real-time images and maps can now be displayed at the same time, and the avoidance system now delivers 6 cameras, 3 up and 3 down. Initially, we were told that the DJI Mavic 4 Pro would be coming in the spring of 2025, and that seemed to make sense. We were getting ready for that date, and then all of a sudden, starting in November and then continuing into December, we got an awful lot of, well, leaks or specs or rumors or something from various different sources telling us that no, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen sometime in December or January, but it's definitely going to happen before the United States puts in place some sort of embargo, ban, or tariff on the drone. Well, these latest leaked specifications that showed up on December the 7th are indicating that, yeah, you know what, that's all nonsense. It's actually going to show up in April of 2025 for a price of 2,200 euros. Now, we don't know the US price, but it's pretty easy to take that euro price and estimate the US price based on that. And what we're expecting is the US price won't be too far off that. Now, we could see it go anywhere from $19.99 up to $21.99. I haven't done the calculations yet because the exchange rates have been in a bit of a flux lately. But we've seen this with everything else, and you're not taking a direct comparison between the exchange rate of the US dollar to the euro, and I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to European prices, depending on which country you're in, there's anywhere from like a 17 to 25% tax built into the price. So if this is coming from Germany, this leaked price, then you would want to take 20% off that. You've got customs fees, you've got all sorts of stuff like that. So usually what happens is the US price is usually less than the euro price at this price point by anywhere from $100 to $200. It could be a little bit less, but that's what we're expecting. And if the United States does put in some sort of embargo, well, we'll have to deal with that when that happens. As far as a tariff goes, at this point, I suspect it's going to be some sort of bargaining position. Hit hard first and then see what you can get out of the deal. But at the end of the day, we've seen it before. The administration that's talking about these tariffs and taxes, well, they were the first US administration to actually implement or put in place tariffs on imported goods from China, Europe, and other countries. All right, so what else do we know? Let me just put my glasses on here. I forgot to mention that it has advanced dual controller. There is one thing there's a few things that are left out here. What about internal storage? With my cameras, I really don't care about internal storage because, well, I have CF Express Type B cards. They're very fast. It's very easy to switch out memory cards, and I can go up to a 4 terabyte capacity, so I can shoot the entire day without having to worry about switching out cards. But when you're shooting up in the air and your flight time's 51 minutes, it's not like you can get in your helicopter or strap a drone to your butt, go out there and change the storage card while you're up in the air. So to be able to provide internal storage of 2 terabytes or 4 terabytes as options when purchasing, I think that would be a really big deal. That would give us increased flight time, and it would also allow us to increase the speeds a little bit. I think what these drones are doing already, 6K up to 60 frames per second, is really impressive. 4K up to 120. It used to be you had to spend $4,000 US to get 4K 120. But we're seeing that become a whole lot more affordable. But to get dual native ISO at 400 and 1200, 14 stops of dynamic range as per the manufacturer, that's also impressive. And finally, to see electronic ND filters of 2 to 6 stops, this is looking like a must-have, a must-have purchase, and I'm really keen on getting this one. I really do hope that DJI reaches out to me and asks me if I want to test this. I just finished testing, what was it? It's over there, the RS4. They sent me that, and I finished that review, and I asked them, if you're interested in having somebody test your gimbals, I'd really, it's not so much a gimbal. You got the gimbal on the front of the drone, but these aerial platforms is what I like to call them, because it's the ability to capture shots that are otherwise unaffordable to many of us. To rent a chopper, you're often dealing with the tens of thousands of dollars, and they're not cheap. To have a drone that gives you 51 minutes of flight time allows you to shoot in most conditions in the world, and I think that's truly impressive. But I know what some of you might be thinking, you know what, I'm just going to grab the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, it's going to go on sale, I'm going to save a lot of money, and it's Cyber Monday, so I'm going to go get me a deal right now. But unfortunately, if you can believe it, with all the sales going on, even Sony has up to $500 off some of their cameras, like the A7R5. They also have sales on the A7S III, the A7 IV, Canon, Nikon, lots of deals. But take a look at this. We're completely out of luck. We don't have a single deal on any Mavic 3 packages. Okay, yes, they are offering a discount of $82.74 on some models. $82. I mean, come on, that doesn't even cover taxes. It doesn't cover shipping. And I know in some places, depending on where you live, you get free shipping and might even, well, actually, from my experience, DJI always covers the taxes when shipping into Canada. And that's a big deal. That's one of the reasons why I order directly from them. But still, no sale on any of the drones of the Mavic 3 series drones. That kind of tells me one thing. All those rumors indicating that it's going to happen sometime soon before January, I'm not buying it. We'd start to see some sales on right now. With everything going on, we'd see some sales. So these latest leaked specifications that are coming from December the 7th from a Chinese source, you know what? I'm starting to believe them a whole lot more. And I checked with some other sources, and they've also commented and said that, you know what? These specs look pretty much bang on from what they've heard. So April, March, February, January. That's 4 months away. And yes, for some reason, I started counting backwards. We're going to have to wait 4 months for the announcement, maybe another month before they start shipping. I hope they start shipping soon. I hope we don't have to wait till April. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in purchasing anything such as the DJI Mavic 3 Pro or anything else, there's so many cameras on sale right now. I've got most of them in the comment section down below, or you can use these links right here to Adorama, B&H, and Amazon.com. Please consider using these links if you're looking at buying anything, because they're essentially what keeps this channel going. They keep the lights on, and it's very much appreciated. You don't pay anything extra. You don't have to fill in any codes or fill out any forms. These links take you directly to Adorama, B&H, and Amazon.com. And a big thanks to you and everybody else that have used my links in the past. Honestly, it's very much appreciated. This is my 6th year doing this channel. I'm just approaching 56,000 subscribers, and I've got over 12 million views. It seems unbelievable to me. And I've been watching a few videos over the last couple of days and looking at some other channels, some channels with millions of subscribers and some with just thousands of subscribers. And one thing I've learned to realize is just because somebody has 1,000 subscribers or 50,000 subscribers, such as me, it doesn't mean there isn't good content there. I've been learning an awful lot lately. I've decided to double down and really sort of push my video skills and knowledge, further understanding not just how sensors work, but the composition, how they're built. Because what I've noticed recently, the dynamic range on some cameras, such as the Nikon Z6 Mark III and the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, they're actually providing less dynamic range than their previous sensors, which weren't even backside illuminated. And what happens when you're designing a sensor, if you, first of all, make it backside illuminated, what it does, it takes all the circuitry from the top of the sensor where the photodiode sits and moves it to the back of the sensor underneath the well. And so what that then theoretically allows you to do is to, all that space that was consumed with circuitry can now be, well, excavated to capture more light and store more light in the well. So you convert, basically the photons hit are converted into electrons, and the number of electrons captured in the well are what deliver your signal to noise ratio. So everything I understood about sensors mean that once you go to a backside illuminated sensor, and a stacked sensor, folks, is always backside illuminated as well. Some people will say it's backside illuminated and stacked. Well, if it's stacked, it's automatically assumed to be backside illuminated. So it should provide better dynamic range. So I'm not exactly sure what's off here. I don't know if it's a configuration change that's needed or if they well, when they moved the circuitry to the back, they didn't properly increase the surface area so that way the photodiode could capture more light and thus electrons and improve dynamic range. I don't know, folks, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing a deep learning. But that's it for now. Let me just go ahead and kill this off. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Sometimes I get these rants and I can't stop, but somebody's got to edit this. Have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.